Welcome back, 365 Sports, our good friend Josh Neighbors. And Josh, I just want to get it out of the way. There was a coup. Triple Option took over the Big 12 Watch channel. It was nefarious. It was all Garrett's plan from the very beginning. He wanted to murder you, but I said no. Not
Thank
yet.
you.
We need to squeeze whatever we can out of him. But in all seriousness, it had just kind of gotten to be kind of a scheduling thing for you, and the way that was working. So we took a commodity that we already had in the Triple Option and moved it over to a channel that's got a lot of subscribers. And we're going to create a Josh Neighbors experience, so to speak, where you can expand on Big 12. You can do more things in the world of college athletics and the world of Josh and things that you're interested in. And I couldn't, for one, be more excited about it.
I am too. I'm fired up. The first thing I have to say is when I lost my last job, the first people that called me were the folks at 365 Sports. David Smoke, Craig Smoke. I heard from you, Paul. I heard from Brian Etheridge. Cole. Everybody. It was, and you all immediately offered me a home, which I am so grateful for. And you all have let me do whatever just really let me cook and let me be myself. And it's been tremendous. It's been fantastic to have a home, and it's been great. So I just want to say I'm so grateful, and I've got you all do such a great job. So I've got nothing but great things to say. And now the folks from Rogue Media, going to work with them, going to work with you all still, have a new show coming up. And, I love the Big 12. I will still cover the Big 12. It'll be just part of what I do. I mean, I'm really looking to expand my coverage of college football because, it's it's funny. It sounds really weird to say, but the more that you get exposed to certain things and you get exposed to certain people and whatnot, I've always thought I've had something to say. I've always thought I feel like I do a really good job of listening to what other people have to say and using that to inform what I have to say. And so using bits here, pieces here, maybe of something that you said or David said, or, what I hear from Bud Elliott on Cover 3, what I hear from the guys at Split Zone Duo, wherever it is, TV, radio, and try to use that all to make one, kind of inform what I'm thinking, what I'm seeing. And I've got a lot of good feedback about people saying, hey, especially here in Arkansas, we really enjoy hearing your perspective on the team because you're not just a blind homer. And, that's been really refreshing to hear. People think I've got something good to say, and I'm kind of looking to expand my purview about what I am talking about. So show name TBD, but really what's going to be is we're going to take big games, the big results, and talk about what does it actually mean, right? Like this season's been so fascinating. I think I could spend half an hour talking about A&M and LSU last week and what it means that A&M finally got a hire right because they didn't go flash and went for substance. Right. The fact that, they're able to be cool making a quarterback change in the middle of a game and how, Texas tried that a few weeks ago against Georgia, didn't work out, but that's okay. Maybe more teams should try it, things like that. Hey, how do you build a front line? Right. Can you just be a team that passes the ball 50 times a game and still win like LSU tried to do, where games turn, the kicker missing the ball. There's a million different things that are small moments, but big picture stuff that you can take from those games. And that's really what I want to do. It doesn't mean my coverage is just going to focus on one game every single week, but I think the themes that define games, that define seasons and whatnot, I think that's what I'm interested in, and really define the sport and help tell the story. So I think that's what I'm super interested in. I'm really excited to do.
Yeah, I can't wait for it, Josh. And so this segment will morph a little bit, but we're Big 12 centric.
We're still a Big 12 household. We're still a Big 12 household.
Yeah,
always will be.
Yeah, we always will be. All right, let's start out, get into the schedule this week. There's a couple games that are kind of blah, which we might not really go over. We may just kind of talk about programs in general. But one that I'm very intrigued by, Texas Tech found themselves in the news cycle in a really silly way this week because of the helmet comms. So here's where Texas Tech messed up. So basically, the company that did the helmet comms for everyone in college football did not encrypt them. Texas Tech took this as an affront to only them. And very few of them, but the athletic director and their biggest booster kind of got fired up And I think that comes out of maybe some of the football program being tense about a 2-game losing streak. And Texas Tech took a national story and kind of made it a little bit about them, so much so that their own fan base was like, oh, please stop. No, this is not why we lost those games. Stop, stop, stop. Now they have to go in after they created a little kerfuffle and play one of the 2 best teams in the league.
Yeah, this is not the preferred spot to be in. The good news is Baron Morton's coming back, and that is huge for them, because I think they've got the offense to potentially hang here in this game with Iowa State. What I do know for a fact is they don't have the defense. Now, Iowa State's offense is not gangbusters, so like the one thing that I think Texas Tech could do is, if your defense does play really, really well, you've got maybe a chance to keep this thing close. But like they're 123rd in points against. They really can't stop anybody. And Paul, I'd be curious to hear what you think about this. So the last coach to have 3 straight winning seasons is Mike Leach. And we associate Mike Leach with, I think, the most successful stretch in Texas Tech football history. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So like we're on pace for that. This is not what they want, though. This is not the end result that I think Texas Tech fans were thinking on. And like, I have not been right about a lot of teams this year. BYU, I was totally wrong about, completely wrong about. I had no idea. Colorado, same thing too. Texas Tech, I've always been pointing the finger and saying, show me your defense. It does not matter if you can throw haymakers with teams. Because the thing is, like, if the fighters that are just all action fighters, there's no undefeated all action fighter. Those guys get knocked out. They give you amazing moments and unbelievable memories. Yes, they do. And Texas Tech has been doing that for years. But man, are they susceptible to get KO'd? And they got KO'd a few weeks ago against Baylor, did they not? I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah, this thing is. I think this is. It's not like they can stop. They can't stop this thing. Like they can get this thing back on the tracks. But Iowa State on the road, Colorado, at Oklahoma State, West Virginia. 3 of those 4 games are going to be challenges, in my opinion. So I'm very, very curious to see how they look this week after back-to-back losses, one by 24 and one by just 1.
Yep. And Iowa State, God bless them. They're just, they're the right kind of
just a machine.
They're just a machine. Like they go in and like the thing that's funny is like in the metaphor of like halftime adjustments and all that, like when they play wrong, it's just like Matt Campbell and the coaches get in there and like it is a car where they're like, oh, spark plug, give me a spark plug. And then they just put it in and like, running like new, take her on out and they fix it. It's just, it's unbelievable. Kansas State has a game against Houston this week. They're 13-point favorites. Let's not get into that very much because I don't think it deserves a whole ton of time. But I've been impressed with
Houston's getting better. Yeah. Houston's improving.
Yeah, they are improving. This is just not the week. They have a good defense though. Like this could kind of throw a wrench in the machine a little bit. But the other team that is improving is Kansas State. Avery Johnson's figuring out how to win games when he doesn't have his best pitch, and Chris Kleiman the same way. So they're going to be right in this until the end. That Farmageddon game, I can't wait for it.
Man, like this was always my thought about K-State this year. What would ultimately cost them is something that should cost them the youth of their quarterback, because learning how to win is typically a process, right? For a majority of guys, learning how to be successful, like the Matt Campbell 5-star culture thing. Am I surprised this Iowa State team is good? Yes. Should we be surprised? Good Lord, no. He's been telling us to our faces for years. Like it's like they just win. That's what they do. They just win games, right? Didn't expect it last year. They're winning games. This year, I didn't know what their ceiling was. They're just winning games. And like K-State's another one of those winning programs. And everybody's been talking about how excited they are about Avery Johnson. Look at this. This is just simple, but passing yards up until September 21st, 153, 181, 156, 130. Then 259, 224, 298, 253. So, I mean, we're in the hundreds in the beginning. We're now in the 200s, right? And the one thing that's gotten better is his passing has very much improved. Were things nip and tuck last week? Yes, they were. That game that was a tight football game. That was a man. KU's been close last couple of years against K-State, have they not? But like KU finds a way, or K-State rather finds a way to win last week. And on a week where like their defense had a really difficult time getting after Jalen Daniels and getting after that running game. Like they got run all over last week. Avery Johnson was good enough. Last week took care of the football as well. That was really big for them. And yeah, so I think just with him, like he is a special talent, but I think right now what you're watching is him trying to run an offense. And I think the talent part will eventually take over later, but I think this part of his development is critical, like becoming a quarterback, becoming a good passer, because we know he's an athlete and we know he's got speed and we know he has instincts, and that stuff will always be there. The quality of his leadership, of his play, when it comes to throwing the ball, taking advantage of what teams are bad at, that's what I think he's developing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The next game is two teams that have disappointed their fans in Arizona and UCF. UCF a 6-point favorite in this one. Man, they both need a win in the worst way here. I think, though, Gus Malzahn needs one way, way worse right now.
Yeah. They just gave him the contract extension, so I don't know how much danger he is in. They've got a little bit of they're losing. They've lost 5 in a row now, and they're losing games in all kinds of ways. Like they're getting the crap kicked out of them, in shootouts. I mean, Colorado just absolutely dog walked them. And the issue for UCF is that their defense sucks and they can't throw the ball. And I will say this for Gus Malzahn, like that's been a problem for his teams for a while now. You don't think about prolific passers and Gus Malzahn. John Rice Plumlee was not a good passer. KJ Jefferson, who he brought in, is not a good passer. Ja'Cory Brown is not a good passer. What is the point of all these fun weapons if you can't? And I know like the running game has been good, but like that's all you can do. Like it's like hammer, 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 explosive, hammer, 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 explosive. It's like I was watching a service academy to some extent because like they just can't throw the ball. Their defense is bad too. It's not a team generating enough pressure. They look. That's to me, it seems to be where the adjustment is for some of these new teams, is just getting that defense to a point up front, getting to a point where you can control some things. Like Cincinnati up front has gotten a lot better. I think that's why they've gotten better. Houston, we know they can bring some guys in. That's still been hit or miss. They look terrible at times up front, and they look terrible, and decent at times. BYU once again this year, when it comes to like their offensive line, to me has actually not been that good. Defense has been very, very good at times. And like that's I think the big step for these teams coming over from the AAC, and to some extent from the Pac-12 too. It's just getting things right in the trenches.
Yeah,
because we talk about this all the time, though. Like, and this is like basically every league, but the teams that end up winning the conferences are in the trenches. And you can tell me all you want, like the Big 12 is a pass-happy league, but like Texas last year, trenches. The year before that, K-State, trenches. The year before that, Baylor, or TC. Let's see, who's it for that? Baylor, right? Baylor, trenches, trenches. Then the year before that, Oklahoma. I mean, like when Oklahoma this year has the first bad offensive line I can remember Oklahoma having. So it's what it comes down to at the end of the day most of the time. And it's I think for UCF, like the trenches for them, especially on defense, is just not good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Arizona State gets Sam Leavitt back. Oklahoma State continues their run to the bottom here in the Big 12. Is this a game where now if Sam Leavitt wasn't playing, I was going to get Oklahoma State a shot. I saw them in person last week. Brennan Presley was great. Alan –
He's awesome. He's always great.
Here's the thing. He deserves so much better than the quarterbacks that have been throwing to him. And really, really, I'm not wishing this to Oklahoma State fans. I just wish that he would be playing somewhere where that would matter, right? Like and it doesn't right now with what they are doing. Is Oklahoma State about to lose their what would be their 6th straight game.
Yeah, this is when they have to win. Like if they want to go to a bowl game this year, and I think I've talked about this a lot with Mike Gundy. He does. He's to me he's the best coach in the league. I've been saying that just because of like what he's built, but it's going to be harder for him to act the way he does and maintain players, and like in this era. It doesn't mean he can't win. He did last year, but they just have to get better guys. Like the trotting out the quarterback they had. Man, you knew that teams were going to key in on the run. Mm-hmm. And like Alan Bowman did it for like a few weeks, but like Alan Bowman's never done it for a full season his entire career. Why would he start today? Why would he start now? And I didn't think Garrett Rangel looked bad, but like it's just they can't bank on Rangel next year because he's been in and out of the lineup. I don't know if he's playing this week. I think is he out for the year? I don't know how long this.
Yeah, I think he's out for the year.
He's out for the year, right? Yeah. So he's out for the year. Yeah. So like you're going back to Bowman now. Like this is a guy who's 27 years old. Here's the upside. He's 27 years old. We know who he is. Like these are probably his last football games, unless he goes to the USF XF whatever combo thing, because he's not going to the NFL. So like he's like it's not like Alan Bowman can decide what he wants this thing to be because he's not good enough to. It's not like okay, it's an effort deal. Like he's just not good enough, and that's what's concerning. Like now they beat Arkansas earlier in the year. It turns out Arkansas is not that bad, so they can beat good teams. It's just a matter of like, and they almost beat BYU too. But can they do it here at home? I think it's one of those they have to win. So I expect like we got Mike Gundy's best effort against BYU. That was a fantastic. I thought they coached really, really well. Their tackling sucked, but offensively, I thought they coached really well. I thought both quarterbacks looked prepared and ready, and they played great. They need more of that this week. They need to take that effort into this week because they should have beaten BYU, and now they're up against the wall, and they have to win 3 of their last 4, and they're playing TCU, Texas Tech, Colorado, and ASU.
Yeah.
So back against the wall. Tough to get a bet against Mike Gundy, but man, like it's hard to bet on them right now.
Yeah, it is. I'll be at the Baylor TCU game tomorrow night. This one's very intriguing. The old teams are coming back. It's all home week for 2013 and 2014. TCU has had a stranglehold on Baylor over the last decade, really, and. I don't know what to think of this game or what's going to happen. I picked Baylor, but I'm supremely not confident in that pick just given the history of it. I don't think there's going to be a lot of defense in this game. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Dave Aranda, it's safe to say he needs this one more. Like both teams need this, but I think it's safe to say Dave Aranda needs it more. Because what's the talk around there? Like they think bowl game saves his job, 7 wins saves his job. What do they think?
Bowl game, I think. I mean, if he gets to 6, like, look, if they can't find 6 out of these last 4, then, like, what are we doing? But if they can, then that's improvement for sure.
I mean, you're 4-4, and you're 2 in the league, and you won back-to-back games, right? So you're starting to play better. And look, it looks like Sawyer Robertson. I mean, like, has been obviously much improved, much better, and I think that. They're blocking a lot better. And I think about the Baylor teams that win. It's like every team. They block like it was just like it's outside zone. Like I know it's a bit different with Jake Spavital, but like Dave Aranda really just does want to run the football. And if they can run the ball and have Sawyer Robertson play well, even though their defense to me isn't very good, they're going to be in a lot of games just because I think Dave Aranda understands like pacing of football and how to like maintain pace. And like I think he's actually I think there is some sense of like game flow there that is, I like their game flow, but in the last couple of weeks is what I'm really trying to say here. TCU can just, I mean, it's probably just going to be, wild and we know kind of what TCU wants to bring to the table. They had a big win last week, but besides that Houston loss, which was weird and random, they've won 3 of their last 4 and they went on the road to Utah and won, and they beat Texas Tech last week, obviously. So, they're playing close games, so I expect this to be close, but I'm actually going to give Baylor the edge because they're at home, and I want to see if they can control the line of scrimmage.
Okay. All right. Look, there's a lot of people watching this that will love to hear that and some that will not. But Josh, we will announce the podcast when we figure out a name and all that stuff, but excited for the new adventure that we've got coming up. So that is Josh Neighbors. The kid's back in the game.
I am too. I'm fired up for it. Love you, Paul. Thank you guys so much. Bye, Garrett. Bye, Emery.
Yeah, that's Josh Neighbors. Top 5 coming up next.